recording now. All right. Any other questions? I think the last time we had a couple of things we hadn't had time to go over, which was app.get and app.post. App.post, right? Okay, which technically means express. All right. Any questions? Any things you guys want to talk about besides these, or do you guys want a higher, deeper level into Express?
Well, I still would like to go over the MVC.
The MPC?
Yeah, because I'm still a little sketchy. I know that's used it, but it's still.
Okay.
I like a review.
Okay. No problem. Any other thing?
Yeah, I'm perspective on what app, or what the routes actually are. Because
Okay.
when I look at it, it's a function call.
Correct.
Who is calling that?
Let's actually do that. So let's go a little bit deeper into this.
And evidently, writing it defines it. I mean,
Yeah. Let's do that.
I come from a C background, so
No
there should be a
problem.
prototype.
No problem. We're gonna go a little bit deeper, and this is going to be interesting because one thing I want at the end of this, at the end of going into this, I want you guys to understand how and why certain people, like people that build Express or people that build Node.js or some other people build libraries, how do they think, or why, or how do they think when they're building libraries, or what type of design patterns do they use in JavaScript to build libraries? Okay, so that's going to be an interesting topic which we're going to cover today, before doing this. Okay, all right, and let me put that down. Design patterns. Okay, design patterns. All right. All right, this is going to be a lot to talk about, and today I'm going to make sure that you guys get your 30 minutes break. Just last week was 5, so I'll give you guys 30 minutes unless you want it.
Oh, 10 is fine.
10 is fine? All right, you guys will get your 10 minutes break. Okay.
Take me 30 minutes.
No problem. No problem. All right, so
It's getting to relax. The whole point was to make it.
let's, if any other questions you guys have, these should be fine, right? Okay, so let's talk about this first, okay? Now, when we look at this, this is coming from an Express application, which we're going to do something similar on the board. I'm gonna go ahead and try to create a very basic Express application. And test tutoring and make it and in case you guys haven't noticed, have you guys heard of Express Generator? Okay.
I think I may have
Okay.
encountered it once, but only like once.
Yeah. So Express Generator, it's actually an npm package that allows you to create an Express application on the fly. And here's how it works. I think I already have it installed. I'll show you how to do it, but you could do Express.js, and then you give it the name of your application, which is basic Express. I believe Express, basic Express. I haven't used it for a long time, but I know it's powerful. Yep, there you go. So you just do Express, and here's what it does for you. It created an app with everything you need to have. And if I try to open this, I think it's Basic Express. That's how I named the folder. All right, you see that? It created an app with a public folder, with a route folder, and also with a view folder. And in order for you guys to install it, the package is called Express Generator npm, and that's the link for it. And you just run this command globally, and every single time that you want to start an application, you just do Express and the name of your application. For example, I can kind of go ahead and start over. If I want to start an application, I can do Express, and then you give it your name, my app, and boom, that's it. Now, in case by default, it's gonna create this application for you with a template engine called Jade, which one of the template engine out there. If you're not familiar with it or you want your normal handlebar, you can do Express, your name of your application, dash views, and you give it whichever template engine that you want. They call handlebar HBS. So we can technically do HBS for handlebar. Oops, I think it didn't go as expected. Let's hold on. Oh, it's view, not views. Sorry, I messed this up. And then run it again. It's not views, it's view. And as you guys can see, it gave us the handlebars template engine now. Any questions about Express Generator?
So I missed something in the introduction to it.
Mhm.
What is it doing for us? Is it a bit like Create React app where?
Correct. But it's more like for Express,
Yeah.
Node, and
It gives us
any
the app
template.
skeleton.
Correct. That's exactly right.
Okay. And so what does the
It looks like.
the folder hierarchy look like? when
Let's see.
it's done? Also, apparently, it's giving us a command line tool.
Yep, as well. So I'm gonna go into my app, and when I open this inside of an IDE or text editor, I have something like this. I have a view folder, which is for my template engines, and I have a public folder, which is this is where you technically put all your JavaScript code and images and stuff like that, CSS. And I also have an app, which is this is where all my Node code is related. It's configured everything for you out of the box. The only thing you need to do is npm install, and it will install everything it needs in order to start your application. And now once you do this, to start your app, just do npm start, and that's it. And now I believe it opens it on local 3000. And there you go. You got an Express application in 3 commands. How simple is that? All right, so we're gonna use this as the Express example. One thing I don't like to do is I want to start from scratch just for you guys to kind of see and ask questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete it just so you know. A link is being posted inside this channel. Feel free to check it out. I'm gonna create a folder called my app, and inside my let's close this. I'm gonna go inside my app and open this my app inside my text editor, which you guys can see everything is empty by now, nothing inside of it. I'm gonna create something called, I'm gonna create my server file. Oops, I don't want that. Let's close this terminal. All right, I'm gonna be creating a couple folders. One of them called public, one of them called view, and one of them public views. What else do I need? Public views, and I'm gonna be creating models and also controllers. Okay. And now if I go back into my app, you see I got these 4 folders created. Of course, nothing inside of it yet. I'm also gonna be creating a server.js files, and this is my server.js.files. I'm also gonna be creating a package.json, which is going to be my package manager, and I use the command -y to kind of autofills everything for me. And here's my package.json. And now I'm gonna be installing a couple packages, and we're gonna be good to go. A few packages that I need. It's something, of course, Express.js. Is it Express.js or Express? I think Express. I haven't used Express for a long time. I've been using Happy.js, so I kind of like getting back to it. But anyhow, I can definitely walk you through. I'm gonna be installing Express Morgan. You guys know what Morgan is? Okay. So Morgan is kind of like what any single request that's going to your server, it kind of register on which routes that this request is coming in on that. I'll visually give you guys an example of how it works, and I'll show you how to configure it as well. Okay. So I'm gonna need Morgan. I'm gonna also need Bcrypt. I don't think I'll need Bcrypt. Morgan, body, parser, and then I'll need Express, handlebars, and what else? I think that's it. Okay. All right. We'll download more packages down the line. Inside my server, I'm gonna start an Express application. All right, so here's how we work with Express. First, we require it, right? We require the Express package. Second, there is one thing that's really important with Express, and you need to understand in a better way, because if you don't, you're gonna have some sort of confusion. What I mean by this is, in order to start an app, we do app Express, and hold on, I need to require Express, sorry. All right, here I start an application. When you're building an Express application, you cannot have two apps. It doesn't matter wherever it is. Yep, you can turn that on. Yep, yep, that's good. You guys good with this? So when you developing an Express application, wherever it is in your entire folder, you should not have two apps. It should be one app. And that's a lot of mistake that I've seen with people that I've been able to kind of walk through. Some things got messy. You should consider only have one app, which means they should only define once. Sometimes you can use Express as many times as you want based on wherever you need it. But the app itself should be only once, okay? And then we're gonna start a server. And the way we start a server is by doing app.listen. We give it a port, which this case gonna give it 8080. It takes a callback, which means a function that's gonna execute when everything went fine. And we're just gonna say server, it's starting at port 8080. Well, this application got one issue. And this issue it's having is you just build an application that will never work anywhere else other than on somebody's local computer. Well, when you build an application, you're gonna deploy it to somewhere else, like Oracle, right? Amazon, right? Google Cloud, all these places. Well, we're using a port called 8080, but Amazon port 8080 might not be available. They might have some sort of ports. Heroku, port 8080 on Heroku might not be available. It might have some other port. So you need a way to communicate and say, hey, Heroku, I'm gonna send you an application. I don't know which ports you have available, but whichever ports that you have available, please make my application available on that port. And there's an industry standard that every single place is using called process.nv that port. That's it. So these lines of code, when you deploy your application to Heroku or Amazon, will communicate with Amazon and say, hey, Amazon, this is Sterling's application. Do you have a port available? And they say, yes, use this one, and we're in business. But if you didn't have this, you have 8080, Amazon gonna say, Sterling, sorry, this is not our standard here. This port's no longer available. Your application's crashing. I can't help you out. Go tell your teammate about that, and somebody's about to be fired. And it's, yep.
At the very first one where you require Express,
Mm-hmm.
the const, the variable express, is that a class? Because it looks like you're instantiating, creating an object.
No, it's
The
actually,
app
it's
looks
actually a function.
Okay,
It's actually a function.
so,
It's a function that returns, which I'm gonna show you in a second,
okay.
which returns an app, which returns something, okay? All right, so this is if you build an application, the first thing that should comes into your mind is you need to use process.env.port. This is critical to your application. Otherwise, your application is useless unless it's on your computer. Does that make sense to everyone?
I just wanted to make a point to Charles's point there. Essentially, every one of these JavaScript libraries we've used, and every JavaScript library that exists, that you bring in, you either require or import what you're bringing in as a function.
Some of them comes as a class. Like the Spotify. You guys use the Spotify one? Where you have to do new and then Spotify. And which
But that's brand new.
no, it's actually there. And this is where this guy is gonna comes in. This is where this is gonna comes in, and you will understand how the people that's building Express actually builds Express.
And also, in JavaScript, a class under the covers is just a function.
Correct, but you need to define it with the new keyword. Right? Yeah. All right.
I'm
Anybody?
saying that's the pattern. That's the pattern for the libraries and bringing the libraries in.
We're gonna talk about a few patterns today, so be mindful, and that's critical. All right. So, any questions about process.env? Before I go any further, there's one thing I would like to show you before I kind of bring this under the board. There's a package that's critical and very, very, very critical. It's called, I'm gonna install it, it's called Do10v. I'm gonna save it as a dev dependencies. And does everybody know what's the difference between --save and --save-dev? Why do we use it? Okay.
Save it to the
Yep,
package.
to save it to package.json, right? Okay. Let's actually install this.
So why is the dev portion?
That's the question. All right, now let's look at our package.json. And remember, one thing I said within this session is not only want to show you guys how to build an application, but what are the type of issues that we deal with and why we do things the way we do it, okay? Now, whenever you're building an application, one thing they tell you in class, you need a package.json, right? Does everybody know why you need it? Some people say for your classmate to be able to see everything you install, right? Well, is this it? Is it? No. Is that everything you can do? No. Let me tell you this. The package.json that you see, if you're building a node application without that package.json, everybody does not consider this as a node application. Nobody see your app, even though it's JavaScript, even though it has every code inside of it. As long as it does not have the package.json, it's not a node application. And here's why. Here's why. When you deploy your application again, the first thing that any place is going to do, either Amazon, either Heroku, either whatever you deploy your application to, the first thing they're going to do is to look at this package.json. And here's what they're going to do. Here's what they're going to do, okay? Keep that in mind. They're going to look anything that have dependencies, which means this is what your application relies on in order for it to work. Now, they're going to look at every dependencies, all of this, and install every single one of them for you on their platform. And here's the other thing. They're not going to look at this because your application doesn't need it. This is just for development purposes. So anything that you think your application needs in order for it to run, you need to put it into dependencies. Anything for dev should be in dev dependencies. One example, Morgan, it's not something we need for production or our application doesn't really care about it. We can put it inside the dev dependencies. But the bottom line is, this is what the place is going to look for before they look at any code.
So in development then, will it pull all your dependencies plus your
Yep.
development dependencies?
Correct.
Oh,
In development, it's gonna take both of them. Now, here's the other interesting part. You see over there, that line 8? Also, Amazon's gonna use that command, or Heroku's gonna use that command to run your application. That's why if you deploy, here's this, check this out, this is critical. If you deploy a React application to Heroku, guess what? When you look at the start command, in your case, I thought you had a lot of things that run the client,
yeah, so it's
that
not
runs and
really-
everything. It won't be able to run in production. Let me quickly show you something real quick. I'm gonna skip the Node.js so quick. I'm gonna head over here and head back and show you this in real life. I'm gonna be creating a React application. Hold on. Full app, inside the full app, create React app. I'm gonna call this one client. And inside of this, I'm gonna be creating a simple thing. And also, I think that should be it. npm package. And also, I'm gonna install Express. I think that's everything I need. Oops. All right, here's an application. A server.js and a package.json. And then the client, right? Well, what happened is, to run both of them at the same time, I need to do some sort of command which I can use concurrently. I'm gonna do that now. Just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. Concurrently, npm, and we're gonna deploy this to Heroku, if in case you guys might be wondering. So that's a bonus. So I'm gonna install this package. Okay. All right, and in order to run both of them at the same time, just need to do this. Copy these lines of code and paste it into my start command. All right, and then here the first command I want to do is I want to go inside the client and then do npm start. And then the second command is I want to do node server.js. Now check this one out. On my local computer, let's see. In my local computer, as you guys can see, my front-end application just starts, right? And then what else? My server. Oh, because I don't think I have anything inside my server. So let's add something real quick. Oops. Oops. Okay.
Stop it again. Run the code. All right, npm. Oops. I think I'm having some sort of issues. Oh yeah, because that should be require express. Thank you, Mr. Console. Let's try this again. You see, my service started at port 8080, right? And then my React application started. So I got two applications that started at the same time. Remember, here's where I'm coming from. If your app does not have a packet.json, it's not considered as a node application. And well, when Heroku or any other place is going to look at your app, the first thing they do, look at your dependency, which is clear for everyone, right? The second thing they do is how to start your application. Here's what they look for. They look at the start command inside the packet.json. Let's depart. Let's see what happens. Locally, it works fine, right? On Heroku, should be expecting to work good. Let's see. I believe you need some sort of engine. With Heroku, this is a requirement, and then we're gonna give it the node version that we have inside our computer. And then it's 9.25. And I think that's everything we need to do. All right, so let's do Heroku. We also need to initialize this command, add it as a Git repo. And Heroku don't like package lock, any lock package. All right, so let's Heroku create, and I'm gonna give this one a name as My Sterling app, which is gonna be creating a Heroku app, right? And then let's add this. Okay, we don't want the node module to be added, so we're gonna go ahead and ignore them. So we need a that git ignore file. We don't want that. All right, and then let's delete all the node module by now. Okay, sweet. Let's see what we got. Add them again. And commit message deploying. All right. Remember, this whole reason I'm doing this whole thing is back into local, our application work with this command, right? It's not the front end, it's not the server. But when I push this application to Heroku, git push Heroku master. It's gonna take a second. You see, it's looking at the node thing and then building them, the node environment. And then it's gonna take a second, building, launching, application launch. And now I can just do Heroku open. And we got this. We got it for a few reasons. We don't know the state of our application now. Why is it not working? With Heroku, we can do this. Heroku logs, which is gonna tell us some crazy things that we cannot even read. But check this out. Started with the npm start command. When you keep going further, you see? It started the server, which is good, but when we keep going down, it said command not found. So the bottom line or the takeaway from this, when you deploy a Node.js application, be mindful if this command has any sort of dev dependencies, you should not put it here. Is that clear for everyone? No, not there. Okay, let me kind of say that again. All right, so here's what's going to happen. Let's kind of forget everything I just said. Here's what's the issue right now.
The CD inside the client, that's where our React application is, right? When we do npm start from the React application, React has a lot of what they call dev dependencies. Let's see those out. Let's see all of them. I'm gonna go inside the client, or I can go inside the client here. You see? Inside the package.json, I only see one dev dependencies. But I said, there's a lot of dev dependencies in there, right? Where are they? Well, the React team hide them for you. Let's say that one more time. The React team hide them for you. Behind the scene, they're using something called Webpack. And behind the scene, they're using a ton of them. You guys want to see them? Well, let's see them together. I'm gonna do npm run eject. Yes. And there you go. Now inside the client, here's all the dependencies React using. All of these dependencies.
How did you do that?
npm run eject.
Okay.
And then you click yes.
And the eject was in the development? of the
Exactly.
JSON?
Correct.
I just need to confirm that this is being recorded.
Yeah.
And what is showing on the screen will be part of the video.
Correct. Good. Once again, the React team is hiding a lot of dependencies behind the scene for it. Okay? And they makes a lot of things easy, which we're gonna deploy, but when you run npm eject, you will see everything they're using. Okay? And then when you look at, we didn't have this config files, that's come from the React team. When we looked at it, you see every files we have, but check this out. They got 3 Webpack. One of them for dev, one of them for production, one of them for server. All right, let's gonna take it a little bit back. We're not gonna worry about none of this, okay? It's there, you guys can feel to explore it. This is not where I'm coming from, okay? Where I'm coming from is the React team has a lot of crap that they're using, which we don't need. And that was one of the main reasons in our main package.json, this one, not the React one, our one, which is this one. The takeaway from this is any application we deploy, it's going to look at the start command. And our start command right now, it's depending on the React command in order for it to start. And Heroku does not understand that. So once again, here's the takeaway. If you're building an application, making sure that the command that starts your application doesn't depend on any sort of like dev dependencies or any sort of like third-party things that's starting your application. It should be pretty straightforward. Because when you deploy it somewhere else, it doesn't matter if it's on Roku, if it's on wherever it is, they're going to look at that start command. Is that clear for everyone? Good? Any questions? All right, now the question will be, how do we deploy a React application? Here's what I love doing. This command, I usually call this command dev. Because Heroku or any other places won't look at this. They would not start my application with this command. And I can work on it locally. Now, I want to start a different command, which they're going to look at. And this command's called start, right? And now here, I'm going to put the command that starts my application when it's production ready. Every things we've been doing was development. For development, we started the application, we saw all this console log and all this thing. All of these were for development. But when you go into production, you have, you need to make sure that your apps are minified. Have you guys heard of minify? Your apps is minify, which means that they remove all the white spaces and everything. So there is different command to run production command. So the takeaway, once again, you want in the start keyword, what you want to be there, it's what starts your application for production. Is that clear for everyone? For development, use something else. But for production,
All right, so here's what the React Teams does for you. Here's how we deploy a React application to production. In case you guys didn't know, inside the client, we are inside the client, which means inside the Create React app. We run one of the commands they give us. It's called npm run build. Okay? What this is gonna do, it's going to minify all the codes that we've been doing. Okay? We run that. Oops. And here's the trick. Here's the only bug I hate about React. Whenever you do npm inject or install a new package, you need to do npm install for it to install everything. So it's kind of like a bug. Be aware about it. So I just need to do npm install, and it will install everything. All right, this step to deploy a React application, we do npm run build, which is gonna create this minify package.json. We're gonna wait. It's gonna take a second. Any questions regarding everything we talked so far? Clear about the start command? Good? All right, and that should be almost, okay, it's done. All right, npm run build. That should be creating, you see it's creating an optimizing production build for me and everything. All right, and you're good to go. Now, inside my React application, here's what I'm expecting to look for. Here's my client, which means my React application. Inside Create React App, there is a new folder. Okay, I'm not able to see it because I have some sort of configuration. Hold on, let's fix that. Let's close that. The build folder inside VS Code, it's set to false, which means that I should not be able to see it on my text editor. So I set it to false. And now I should be able to see it. There's a new folder called build. This is your production ready code. This is everything you need, like all the development you've been doing, all these components, like we had all these hundreds components, 20 components. Well, every single component, it's now turned into one big massive JavaScript file. With no space.
Is there any way to take the minified and convert it back?
If you do some changes, you're gonna have to do npm run build again. But
can
no, you
we
can't.
can't convert it from minified back to just the regular
No, I don't think so.
conversion tools for that.
There might be some sort. There's a lot of npm package, but I don't think you might be able to do that because the React itself is using some further logic than some of the packages out there.
Does it not also change function names to make them really, really small?
It's doing a lot of things behind the scene. A lot of automation things. But it's adding some sort of like unique identifier for certain CSS. It might be adding some functions into anything you think that your application is going to have a better performance. Well, it's doing it there for you.
Yeah, the reason I mentioned that, that's one of the reasons you can't go back.
Yeah, it might be the case. Yeah, it's minifying everything for you, and that's everything you need, the build folder. And here's how you're gonna do it to deploy a React application with either Java, C# Python, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You run your npm build, and this folder is deployable with either Java, Python, Node, any server language you can think of. Here's how we do it in Node. We head over our server. We head over our server. We're gonna do app.get, which is gonna consider as our home page. We just have a function. All right. So what we're gonna do in this case is, first thing first, we're gonna send this HTML located under the build folder. This is going to be our first mission over our server. So to do that, all right, I'm gonna use a package called Path. Have you guys used this package before? It's not a package, it's just built-in npm node package. Path, all right. And I'm gonna do res.send a file. That's how we send a file. And we're gonna do path.join and their name, which represent the current directory. And then we're gonna locate for where this index.html is located. Well, when we look at it, it's located inside the client. It's located inside the client. And then where else? It's located inside the build folder. And then it's located right there inside the build. So we just do index.html. Well, here's the other thing. Inside this folder where we're sending the HTML, there are some extra stuff that the index.html is relying on. And those stuff are called static files, right? Such as the static folders, some images, whatever it needs. One thing we can do is we can serve this entire static folder so that the index can consume from it. What I mean by this is, by doing that, app.use, and then I do express that's static, and I send this entire build folder. It's located inside the client, and then build. So anything that the index.html is needed from the build folder, it's going to use it because the entire build folder now it's on my server. Make sense for everyone? Okay. And now, if we try to run our Node app, not the full app, our Node app, we should see our production ready server. And to run the Node app, just like a Node application, I just need to do Node server. I got an issue. I need to install Express. I forgot. Yep, Express was there. Good. Express install. Oh, something running over here on port 8080 already. Oops. All right, there you go. Close that. Look at this. Node server. And there you go. So my app is serving on port 80. Here's what I'm expecting. Remember, the step to deploy a React application, we head over the React application, we run npm run build, which create a build folder for us. And that build folder can be used for either Node server technology, like any server technology, Java, C#, Python, anything. Now on our Node server, we just consuming this build folder to start our application. Now when we go to 8080, we should see our React application. Hopefully we can. There we go.
So this is what the index view looks like, you didn't put anything different in it?
No, I didn't touch anything within the bill folder. It's ready to go. Make sense? Now, in case you might be wondering,
One thing I want you guys to notice. Oops.
here is how I start my production ready app. You see this one, man? Node server. Which means,
Where do you guys think I should have this? In the JSON? In which one? Test or dev or start?
Start.
Start.
and now, Heroku's gonna look at this command and start my application.
We just need to deploy it. Let's go again. One last thing. I'm gonna actually deploy it and see what happened, and I'm gonna purposely show you the issue. Commit, and then I'm gonna commit these changes. Not going to deploy. And then the only thing I need to do, git push Heroku master. Okay. Deploying again. Everything seems good, right? When I do git status, I don't see any changes. Let's clear it out. No changes, right? But when I do Heroku open, let's see if our application works. Because if it works with our production command, it should be working on Heroku. But when I open Heroku,
Not found. What's happening, right? Well, here's what's happening.
and here's the power of a file called git ignore. Git ignore is ignoring the build folder.
So it's never got into Heroku. Now that means we need to remove it into
Git ignore. Remove it. And let's do git status again. Now it's there, we can see it. Let's add it. I can just
going to send it to Heroku again.
I can just do Heroku open.
Sterling, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page with everyone. So you created the GitHub repo before you created it?
Yep. And now, here's my app. The takeaway from this, the lesson learned is the package, that JSON file, it's critical to your application. If you don't have it, you don't have an application. Your application is useless. The start command should be mindful of how you build it. Be mindful to build command for your local environment and also to build it for production, to start your application in production. And to deploy a React application, you just need one command. npm run build, and then you serve everything over. Any question? Is that clear for everyone?
Can you show the
Server?
content that you removed on Git ignore?
Yep.
So was that the other one, the
Oh,
server JS?
that was actually inside
The React one. It's inside the client, and it's in this one.
Oh, there's two. Oh.
Yeah.
And that naming structure, you named that or?
Uh, which one? You talking about the bill? Oh yeah, I name it to be the client. You could name it anything. Correct.
on the Git ignore, should it both be removed for both locations?
Now you can. I would technically use the main one.
Just the front?
You can. Yep, correct. That was created by the React team. So I created one and they created one. Yeah.
Now, do you have to put it back when you are
Developing.
making changes?
Yeah.
So the way more company works is they have like a config file, and the config file is how they're gonna configure the application for different environment. So they have, let's say they have a config that could either be like dev, that could be local, and then that could be whatever it could be, right? And then they ignore things based on which environment that they are. They can do an if statement. Say, if this is dev, or if the environment is dev, then add the build folder into certain things. If it's not, then do this. And the other thing to keep in mind too, most of the places, most of the companies, they deploy application with something called Jenkins.
Let me take you a quick look at Jenkins. Jenkins. Okay. All right. So Jenkins, it's a build tool. It's kind of like a build process tool. And let me kind of give you guys an overview on how it looks inside, just for you guys to see an idea how it works on a real things. Okay. I won't be deploying anything because if I do, I might get fired today. but I'll quickly show you guys something real quick. It's not gonna be recorded. It's on a different computer. Oops, let me share this.
So do you deploy your own stuff, or do you have somebody who deploys?
Now the cool thing about Jenkins is they do every configuration. And there's going to be an extra stuff I'm going to show you, which is going to be critical. But the bottom line is, once you configure Jenkins, you just click one button. You don't even do npm git push Roku. You don't even do none of this. You just click one button and anybody can push it. It sounds interesting, right? Well, there you go.
Appreciate that.
No
So
problem.
do they know to push that one button?
Yep, they will. And they will. I wish I could put this button to. This is this is gonna be popping up in a second. I hope. Remember, when I started this session, I said I want to give you guys an idea of how you build an application that scales. You're doing Git push Roku master. This won't be an industry way to deploy an application because Roku can tell you there's type of issue. But with Jenkins, it's awesome. And now here's the other thing. In case you guys might be like, oh, this is cool. That sounds awesome. You just click a button and you just deploy it. Well, there's more cool stuff about Jenkins. You guys curious?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we'll leave this for next week. Oh, I won't be here. But anyhow, I'll tell you. Here's the beauty about Jenkins. You guys been working on GitHub, right? And sometimes you deal with something called conflicts, right? Or sometimes somebody, like, let's say I'm the owner of my project, right? And I just don't want everybody to push everything to it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to review it, and if it doesn't meet the standard, or we have to talk about it, or some sort of things like that, I don't want to even bother about it, right? Well, Jenkins, when somebody tries to push codes to your master, Jenkins can stop it. So when somebody tries to push code to your master, Jenkins can stop it and be like, hey, buddy, sorry, this needs to be reviewed by me before it got merged. Oops. Oh, God, I'm really hoping I can log into. And this can show into the screen. I can log in. I really hope it should. It's kind of loading my computer there. But the bottom line is Jenkins can make sure nobody's pushing your thing. But here's the other thing. Jenkins can, when you're working on what they call open source project, which is something you guys should be considered doing. If I have chance, I will tell you why. Okay? Now, Jenkins, it's so powerful that it can manage your whole GitHub flow. Anything you think you can do. You see when you're putting a commit message, like when you're adding some comments for certain messages, well, some company want a type of comment format. And there is a name for it. I think it's called conventional comments. You guys should write this down. It's called conventional comments. And guess what? Some company enforce this. And if your comment doesn't include what the conventional comments stand for, Jenkins will block your comment, which means from your computer you won't be able to push at all to that repo. So Jenkins is very, very, very powerful. All right, it's loading, and you guys should definitely look this up. It's called Conventional Comments Standard. And I'll quickly give you guys an overview on how it works if we have time. See, it's loading up. So the whole reason it's taking all this long to load because they're doing a lot of things behind the scene, making sure my computer is secure. I have no clue what they're doing because I'm not into security. All right, so what is conventional comments? Conventional comments is, you know, when you're adding the comments to, when you do git add, and then you do git commit, and then you add a message. Well, before you add a message, there is a type of what you're going to push, the code you're going to push. You need to tell it what type of code is it. Is it a bug you're fixing? Is it a new feature? Or is it something you're fixing? So whatever it is, you need to add the type before the message, and then you push the code. That's what it's there for. All right, so it's almost done, guys. Give me one quick second.
You're saying conventional comments.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. And is there something else I should search to?
No, I actually can send you guys a link right there. I think I saw one that's helpful. Let me pop this one in the Slack for you. Okay. Boom. Just Slack it out. All right. No problem. While this computer is loading, I can pop in the other computer just to kind of show you the conventional commit. This takes forever to load. Let's put these guys over here. All right, here's conventional commit. There is fix, there's docs, there's style, all this to tell the person you work with what your code is all about. For example, when I go to my terminal, where was my terminal? That's fine. When I go to my terminal, when I was doing git add and then git commit, here's how it works. Fit, and then I add in my message. That's it. In some places, in case you might be curious, this is an interview question. And if you use the terms, you can get people scared into the interview, which they will see you as somebody that has the experience working on a team because you know what this is, okay? Any questions regarding conventional commits? Good?
Can you use like multiple of these types?
No, it's only one at a time. One per code, correct. All right, so my computer just boot up. Let's go back to Jenkins because I really want to show you guys an idea how it looks like. When you first sort into your job, you don't get freaked out. Let's see if I can. If it appears. Yep, it does. Can you guys? Did 9. Okay. Okay, let me work on this real quick. I need system preferences, and I need display, and I need display, scale. Is that right? Default. Oh, I need this. Oops. Where's my mouse? Okay, there you go. So I need this now. Oh. Scale. Okay, that's fine. I can just drag something over here. Okay, so Chrome. All right, so let's go to Jenkins. All right, so here's how it looks like on a real professional environment. I logged in. Every company has a logged in. And it looks like, let's zoom it out. It looks like this. These are all the projects you have, which you can click on any single one of them to deploy. And these are different features you want. For example, if I want to deploy, I don't want to touch it. This is a risky service that we always do. I don't want to touch. I want to touch. I'm going to touch this. The other one is kind of like risky. All right, so you click on this one, and then once it pops up, you could kind of see how many times it's been deployed, and you could kind of see what went to the deployment. You see that? That's a commit message. Somebody added this, and then we sending this change to production or whatever it is. And you see the conventional commit? This is what the industry is waiting for. And now if I want to build this, like somebody's done a message, I just hit this build button over there. What is it? What is it? Build. Yep. Build. Yep. I just hit that build button. And I'm not gonna pass near it, but you guys see it. But yeah, that's how Jenkins looks like, and that's how the whole process kind of look, in case you might be wondering. And what Jenkins is relying on, it just needs to hook it with the master branch. There's some further configuration which we're not going today into it. All right. Yeah, if it fails, it might be a lot of reasons. That might be checking the code standard, making sure that it's either everything's being minified, it's either everything's good to go. But sometimes when it fails, it might be a lot of issues. A lot of things that could. I don't know all the cases because I'm new to Jenkins. But yeah, all right. So all these things I just talked about, it's just for me guys to give you an idea of what's out there. But here's where I really want to come in. Design patterns. All right. Design patterns. And here's why I wanted to come in, but here's why I wanted to come in here. I want you to be aware or understand or be able to use any libraries that comes out there. It doesn't matter if it's new or not. As long as the library comes out into the market, you can feel comfortable to use it. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, you can use it, right? In order to use it, you need to be able to understand how the people that are writing the library are actually writing the library, right? You need to know, like, what are the process that they're using to write libraries. Well, they're using something in JavaScript called design patterns. There's paradigms, which we talk about the two paradigms, functional programming and OOP, right? Well, there's also design patterns. Design patterns, there are about 100 of them. But there's 4 most popular ones right now in the market. One of them called modular design pattern. There's one of them that's called the skeleton. Design patterns. And I don't remember all the 4, so we're gonna pull a link up for you, which you guys can refer to for most popular country design pattern in JavaScript. I'll select this one in the Slack channel again. There you go. Singleton, sorry, not skeleton, singleton. I can just copy these 4 down here. All right.
So what are they, right? We talk about, I just give you a quickly view of be able to understand when somebody writes a library, but why are there so many of them, and why are they useful? Why do we use them in JavaScript, right? Well, paradigms, it's one thing, but design pattern, it's another thing. Paradigms is you understand which way the person is coding, functional or OOP, right? Well, paradigms, it's a way to understand the person's specific style of coding. It's a way I don't need to look like every single lines of code to have an idea of what's going on. I can look at one spot and knows every feature about this code. For example, if I know which design patterns that the Express.js is using, I don't need to look at every code. I can just look at the piece, the spot, and I can know every feature about Express without not even looking at the code. Yeah, just the spot, and I will be able to know everything about this thing. Now, let's use one of them. Let's quickly show you how the first one looks.
And a lot of people use it. We're gonna use the modular one, and we're gonna build an Express library, a simple one, not complicated. And here's how it works. You first define an app,
And then you have what they call the self-executing function.
that's the style. Let's leave this for now.
A self-executing function.
Oops. Like this.
So when you see this, it doesn't matter if you're looking at somebody's code.
Right. It's missing one last thing, and then you have a return keyword.
All right. When you look at a code, you look at this. You see this structure? You have an app, then you have the self-executing function, then you have the return keyword. Well, this person is using the modular design pattern. It needs to look like this. It doesn't matter if it's have a variable or not, but as long as it has the self-executing function, and then it has the return keyword, well, this person is coding or using the modular design patterns. Now, why is this useful? Well, here's what I was talking about.
In Express, back to your question, if we go back to the server, the most feature about Express you see, app.get, right? What else? App.post. What else? App.use. Right?
Everything, it's app, that something. Like that's Express itself. Well, we can build a very similar library just like Express,
which have the same app, that something. So we're gonna build a feature, or one feature here called get data, something like that. Okay. So this is just one function. And I'm gonna copy and paste just the same. And then just this one, receive data. I can call this one send data, right? So when we look, and I'm gonna add a last one in progress. All right. So believe it or not, this is a library that we just built with 3 functions. But nobody can use it yet because we might be in the process of developing this library, right? Or we haven't released it yet, or a team might be working on something, right? Well, take a look at this. Features. Return features. Like you return the features that you think it's done, and you give them a specific name. For example, if I want to release one feature, and this feature that I want to release the send data as a feature. Here's how I do it. I go down my return feature, and I do get, and then I do send data. And now anybody that want to use my library, they can just do app.get. They can do app.get. If I want to release another feature, I'm gonna release the receive feature. I'll release this one as post receive data. And now somebody want to use this method, they just do app.post. Now, let's say this modular design pattern was 100 of them, right? And a lot of codes. Well, if I want to know how many features the person have, the only one spot I need to look at is this.
Could it be any?
It could be,
word you wanted to
yep,
use, like
it doesn't matter what you name your feature. It could be anything. Just an object of the feature that you're releasing.
In fact, what you're doing there is returning an object.
Yep.
With key value.
Exactly.
And so get becomes the way that your send data function. is
Exactly.
referred to.
And here's the other thing, they love using design pattern. From a security standpoint, the person don't know what's the name of the wheel function.
Get is exposed with send data.
Exactly.
exposed.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is called modular design pattern. Now, when we think about Express, we think about the way it works. It takes 2 parameters, right? Well, let's build our function to make it useful. Which one is our get? Our get is send data. Let's go here. We're gonna expect 2 parameters, URL, and then a callback. So that means now the way the person's gonna use my function, they're just gonna have to do, they pass it the URL, and then they pass it a function. You see that? The same way. Whatever they pass over here, I got access to it on the thing that's called URL. And the callback function, it's whatever I return. And then let's say the callback function, I return 2 parameters within this callback function. I'm gonna return 2 things. I'm gonna return something called request, and then I'm gonna return something called response. And ladies and gentlemen, this is our clone of, let me just console log URL is equal to URL. And ladies and gentlemen, this is our clone of Express. With the same look, same
similar feature. Just by curiosity, let's see if this library indeed works. Because we just doesn't create something expecting to not, let's test it, right? I'll copy this entire thing. Head over to something called JSBin. I use the ES6 version. All right. And make sure I use ES6 version. Save it, refresh it. Right now it works. All right. Let's give it a try. I'm gonna pass /home. I'm gonna set something like request and then this. And now I'm gonna inside this function just express, I'm gonna console log what is the request. And also I'm gonna console log what is the response. When I run this function, as you guys could see, URL is equal to home, and here's what's inside the request. Now in Express, they sent you an entire object about the request itself. So we could set request here to be an entire object. What is it? It has something called body, and body can have whatever it is. Just say username, something like that. And then we send a request as the first param request. And then response could be the same thing, could be an object as with a lot of things, whatever this is. And then we can just say just testing for now. And then we send the response as well. And then when we run this again, you see? And let's make sure everybody's seeing. Let's add something over here, add plus, just to see what's going on here. This is the response, and this is the request. And then one last thing to do is add this one, make it fancy, clear this one out. There you go. It's better. Is it? It sounds easy. Look at that. That's exactly Express. That's how it looks like. That's how we interact with it. That's how we code it out. What do? We pass it a URL, we pass it a function for request and rest, and then they return some data. Well, they use something called design patterns. There are 4 most popular of them right now. One of them we're actually using is something called the modular design patterns, which means if you're thinking about writing a library, it doesn't matter what it does. It could be something simple. Well, think about using a design pattern. If you're writing an application too, you want it to just be nice and, in case you want to make it easy, change it 2 months later, think about using a design pattern. Any questions regarding this? Here's the other beautiful thing. Check this out. This function is still in progress. Something that hasn't finished, you don't want to release it as a feature. So you can have many other functions that is in progress that you haven't released yet. That's why people that are doing Express, they have so many releases coming in. Things that were in progress that's being done. Once it's done, listen. Any question?
It's not a question, and I'm gonna ask Gene to keep me honest. If you don't mind, can I share just like 2 minutes of history about design patterns? In 1994, there were 4 guys, they wrote a book called Design Pattern Elements of Reusable Object-Oriented Software in 1994. The authors came to be known as the Gang of 4. It really, really got people's attention. And in the book, what they explain is over and over again in the software industry, people develop solutions for a certain class of problem. Okay? And if you go into a company and say, you know, what really neat thing did you do, they're going to present this, and it's going to look an awful lot like what another company did. And this common way of solving problems, they coined the phrase design patterns. And they published a book really for C++ people called Design Patterns Elements of Reusable Object-Oriented Software. That became so helpful in the software industry that now JavaScript and probably everybody else, every other language, latched on to the concept of, yes, design patterns, because when in the industry there's a certain problem or task that needs to be done, people tend to find very efficient ways of doing it, and lots of different companies find the same thing. And hence, they identify this common pattern that they see in different companies as an example of a design pattern. Hence,
There you go. Yep, there you go. Nice, good. Now, here's the other beautiful thing. If you guys remember, last Tuesday, I said 2 words. If you want to get hired, or you want to not fully get hired because the other thing they want to check, but you want to get people scared into the interview, there are 2 words that I said. And that's the whole reason this thing is built. First of them is reusability. And then maintainability. Is your code maintainable? Yes or no? If you want to change something, small change, and you feel like you need to write the function over, you have a problem. If you're writing a function, and here's the key of writing a function. This is something that I use. It helps me a lot, and I think it might be helping you a lot too. Your function, keep your function under less than 10 lines. Maximum of 10 lines. Keep it under that. Your function should be do one thing and one thing only. If it's doing 3 things, your code is not maintainable. Worst case scenario, it can be do 2 things. But your function should be doing one thing and one thing only. That's the key. And that's the goal you should have in mind when writing a function. Any questions? All right, so this was the modular design patterns. And you guys can feel free to take an example of the link. It might not be the same concept, but as you could see, the self-executing functions. The only thing I did different was throw it into a variable, and by the time I see it with the return keywords, boom, the same thing. All right, and then here's the other one that's also popular, and you guys been using it. The only difference is you've been mixing it. All right, so the other one, I think it's the second one. It's called the prototype. Let's see. Yeah, the prototype one. The prototype one, it's technically pretty straightforward as well, except what is it? That's still, yeah, that's still that's the prototype. There you go. So the prototype, just a big object. By the time you see an application with a lot of objects, like everything is inside an object. Functions, variables, everything. It's inside this massive object. The first thing that needs to come into your life, in your mind, is, oh, this person is using the prototype design pattern, which I'm familiar with. And if you want me to remind you, when you were using the ORM, everything was inside a big object. Well, they were using the prototype design patterns. And then you could build the same entire application
like this. The only thing is send data would be something like this. Receive data would be the same thing. And that's it. You use your app, except you will instantly give them the name get right there. Like you will instantly declare whatever you want the key to be named at, and you call this one app.get, app.post.
It's called the prototype design patterns. And this is very, very, very popular in the industry right now. If you're looking at the code, you don't look at what the code's doing. First thing that needs to come into your mind, all right, what is the paradigms that the person's coding into? Functional OOP. Okay, I got it. All right. Now, what design patterns they're using? Is that a self-executing function? If it is, they're using the modular design patterns. Is that a big object? Or if it's a big object, it's more likely to be the prototype design patterns. Any questions about design patterns? Does app.get and app.post make sense to you guys now? Not how they're using it or why they should use it, but does it make sense of where it's coming from or where it's being built or how it's being built? Any questions? Any questions? No, it's okay, but at least you got some resources to go to and try to dive out. Now, all of this did not make sense to me at first. I learned it the hard way. I wish I had somebody that, that was kind of walking to and kind of guide me to, because I was lost. One thing I was having, the first issue that I was having, if it's not my code, it's gonna take me 5 days to figure things out. Like that was my mindset. If I didn't code it out, I have no clue why you're doing this, how you're doing this. Like, I don't know. And if it's my code, my whole idea was, it doesn't matter what I'm trying to do, just wrap everything into a function. Like if I'm done and do a send update thing, I just put everything into one function. As long as the feature doesn't work, that function is gonna keep loaded. Until it works. And at the end of the day, here's what's happening. When I want to change it for something else, I'm like, damn, I need to write a whole other function. Your function should be doing one thing and one thing only. That's the mindset of having a function. All right, so this is design pattern, which if there aren't any questions, we're gonna close this. You guys at least have some places to refer to. Let's talk about the MVC.
What about the other two?
Oh, the other two?
Yeah.
Oh,
The other two I'm not quite familiar with, which I haven't tried them before. But this link is actually really nice. Oh, the other one, okay, observer design patterns. The observer design patterns, if you guys heard us talk about state the other days, which we mentioned there are 3-state management out there, Redux and Redux and RxJS and Vuex. Well, RxJS is built out behind this observable design patterns. Observable design patterns, which means if you understand these 4 design patterns pretty well, anything that's coming out there, it doesn't matter if it's a new library, if it's a new firmware, it doesn't matter. You will quickly be able to adapt yourself to it because you know how they can be used if you want to use it. And let's actually look at their code. It's kind of a little bit more in depth. It's a lot of scoping.
as you guys could see, if you look at the AngularJS 2, AngularJS is built out of this. You see, the first thing you see, scope. If we look at AngularJS code, the first thing we'll saw, scope. Well, it's built from the observer design patterns. You see controllers and all this stuff? All right, and then the last one, oops, the singleton. The singleton is a little bit more interesting. It's a little bit and more difficult to understand too. One thing we can highlight over here is it will return instances of itself. But you see, as you could see, singleton is difficult for the most, for most of. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of these functions right there. God bless you. All right, singleton. It's a little bit complicated. It's a little bit advanced. It's a little bit interesting. It's a little bit fascinating. It's a little bit challenging, right? But the reality is, things we've been doing in JavaScript, and the whole mindset was, all right, guys, I'm going to be learning JavaScript, which we create functions, set up an object. This is a string. This is a number. All right, you call the function. But in reality, this is not it. There's a whole nother world behind this. We've been talking for 2 days. We already see an entire world. Let me tell you this. There's much more. not a lot more, but there is a few other things more. What I was talking about much more, it's more like some of the terms of different functionalities you've been using. Have you guys ever heard of closures? Okay. Have you guys ever heard of mixins? Okay. All right. So, and have you guys ever heard too of hosting? Hosting. I forgot how you pronounce it, but it's something in JavaScript. Yeah. All right. So, a closure. What is a closure? Somebody want to guess?
Well, it's the scope of variables depend upon the functions where they're declared.
Yep. Very close. Now, this is an interview question. You need to write this down. That's what I meant. Because, and to share a little bit about my interview journey, every single interview, most of the interview I had for mid-level developer, I had this as my first welcome question. Hey, what is a closure? And I was like, oh, I do JavaScript, so I just create functions and objects. But anyhow, I was a little bit confused. And I was like, you know what? That was just this random guy that either didn't like me or didn't like my voice over the phone. And just forget about it and just move on to something else. And I had another interview, and the first thing that came in again, what is a closure? And I was like, I think the other guy liked me as well. I think I was the one that didn't like myself. Let me go ahead and fix that and get back to it. And until the third one, and I was like, yeah, there you go. And that was what the interviewer remembered about the whole interview, the way that I answered to it. So the closure, if you want to put it that way, check this out, okay? It's a function. Inside a function, okay, that has access to 3 main scopes. Closure, it's a function that has access to 3 main scopes. It has access to its local scope, it has access to the parent scope, and also has access to the global scope. the function that has access to all these three scope is the closure. If you want to put it into human readable whatever way, it's a nested function. Oh, that looks so bad. There. So yeah, so this is what a closure is. Well, about the singleton, the whole reason that I use this is because as you guys can see, this sounds to be one function, it sounds to be the parent of this function, and this sounds to be like function nested function. Well, it's a little bit deeper than what we could do, but keep that in mind. Closure should be something you take a look at because if you do not fully understand them, it can cause your application to not work properly as expected. Just to kind of show you guys a visual example of it, and I'm trying to make it hard this time. All right. Main. Oops. Okay. Okay. And okay. Oops. And then we can remove this, make this one equal to there. Okay. This is a perfect example. I hope it is. All right. This also can be an interview questions. I'll show you another way how they more likely to have it, just to confuse you out. But it's kind of like the same concept. This is more like a readable and friendly example of how to put it out. But I'll show you a website that has a lot of code questions that employers use to give you on a screening interviews. And this is something that you should bookmark. And you'll see one example, a big example of closure. When I first saw it, I was like, I don't think this is JavaScript. Like, I was like, man, this sounds a little bit not JavaScript. But it was JavaScript, except a little bit tricky. All right, so in our case, we're gonna consider this function as the closure. This function, it's a function that is inside another function. And the other function that is inside of it is the function called main, right? Remember, the closure, which is in our case, the child function, has access to three main scopes. It has access first, to its local scope, which means anything that's inside of it. And then second, it has access to the parent scope, which means anything that's inside the parent. And third, it has access to the global scope. So when I run this function, what vehicle do you think is going to console log? Is it going to be used? Is it going to be certified? Is it going to be new? Interesting, right? Right. Use. Anyone against and use? Okay. Well, let's just run it out. And you guys right. Because the first one he has access to, it's local scope. And then if it doesn't find it, which means if it doesn't find it, then he has access to the parent scope. And then if it doesn't find the parent scope, it has access to the global scope. Which means sometimes most of the issue that you guys do is you have two variables out of the same name, and you're trying to get the value of the other one, which you're getting the value of your local scope. And of course, you might not remember now, but sometime you will, right on the spot. You'll be like, oh, yeah, but keep that in mind. Anyhow, let me show you an example of how they put it. JavaScript, any view question. Yep, there you go. I think this is it. Okay, I'm gonna slack out this link. Okay. There you go. This is it. I think so. I'm hoping so. All right, let's just open another JSX. Oops, what happened? Oh, that's actually something's different. Actually, that's something about the scope, not about closure. Okay, sorry guys. But I saw this one was quite interesting. It was quite interesting as well. So they said, here was the question based on what we just found out. What will the code below output to the console? Why? Take a second. Think about this. I'm not expecting you guys to fully give an answer. I know this already looks like, what is this? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, take a second, think about it. A second. Let me check the time. It will be kind of like, it will be A defined true or false. And then it will be B defined true or false. So type of is a way to kind of check what type of data that the thing returns. Okay. They're both true. Okay, both true. What about you? Both true.
When the last set of parens
Okay.
executes that self-executing function,
Okay.
it runs the line of code, or it declares and initializes those functions, those variables,
Mhm.
A and B. So the result of those, the last set of parens is to run the line of code that says var A equals B equals 3.
Okay. Anybody has a different answer than that? Yeah. You can guess something. You can say anything you want. But when we look at this code, the first thing that came into my mind was I've never seen this double equal. Like, what is this? And I was like, geez, type, oh, interesting. I've used it before, but I've never used it in this case. All right, let's run it and see what happened. One true, one false. A, it's false. That's the question. A, it's false. B, it's true.
If you do bar A equals B, bar B equals 3.
How about I do it a different way? Let me rewrite these functions. That might help. Let's see if it still work.
Yeah. So once A goes into B, it no longer exists, and now becomes B. So that's why G equals 25.
That's why A is false. Which, when A is false, that means that when A is false, that means that it's not equal to undefined. So when we look at this logic, that means A type of A, they're technically saying, let me rewrite this.
So A is not undefined.
Yeah, A.
But you see, the first one, which is A, which is false. Undefined, is undefined not equal to undefined? Which, let me see. Hold on, let's-
They're going to be the
That
same
will-
answer then.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got that wrong. Hold on. I forgot one
B
thing.
is defined.
There you go. There you go. That's what I meant. It's A not equal to undefined. That's false because there. Is that right? Am I? Yeah. This logic is right. Undefined not equal to undefined, which is. Oh, I think I misspelled this. Hold on. This is how it's supposed to be. Oops. All right.
But you're saying A is not really undefined.
All right, there you go. I think so. This is okay. All right, type of. You know what? Just to make this clear, I'm gonna bring this guy back and do this. How about B was equal to 3, and then I'm gonna do this instead. That might be better. Type of A, and then type of B. There you go. So this means this one it's undefined, and this one is equal to a number. That's what. Yeah. That might be it better. So
Okay,
that makes sense. All right, you don't get it still, right? Well, here's what's happening. Here's the tricky part about JavaScript, and this is when, if you guys remember in your learning journey, when you guys were in HTML and CSS, you started doing variable and functions and all these jazz. But one issue you were having is putting them together. That was the main issue, okay? And the whole reason that you guys were not able to put them together is because there's one thing that's really important about JavaScript, called hosting. Let's Google this. JavaScript hosting. Yep, I think I spelled it right. I was just checking the spell. Okay, oops, close that. Okay, hosting. Well, here's what's happening. First thing first, the first thing that's happened is JavaScript is considered as a single-threaded language, which means everything's being executed line by line. So of course we have, promises and all this jazz. But let's look at this line by line. The first thing that execute is this. That means everything inside this function execute, right? Well, here's what happened. When this execute, this is considered as a hosting. What does that mean? That means anything without the var variable, it's considered as global. This is what they call hosting. Now, when this function executes, it makes the B global.
you're saying is not clicking.
Okay, so when this function, let's do that again. When this function execute, right, the B, which is a hosting, anything without the var keyword is considered as hosting. And any hosting instantly global when it executes. Which our case, this hosting execute, which makes the B a global variable. The B is now a global variable, which means now B it's equal to a number because there's something in B. B exists. If it's global, we can access it everywhere. And in case you guys want to see B, if it's global, oops, sorry. I think I need to console log to fill this. I'm gonna console log this B. You see, if it's global, we can access it everywhere, which means we were able to access B down here because it's global, right? But anything that's inside the function, get this, anything that's inside the function, as long as it's not hosting, it's local, which means it's private to that function. Nothing can get access to it. In our case, var, it's not hosting, which means it's not global. And in our case, it's inside a function, which is considered as local. And anything that's local is considered as private. Nothing can get access to it. That's why when we want to get access to A, it said A, it's equal to not defined. All right. This all might sounds confusing. It's all my like just. Here's the takeaway. Okay. Here's the takeaway. Anything without the var keyword, global. You can access everywhere. Anything that's inside a function, it's private. Does that make sense? Still? Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So if we have a function that's listed as well inside of that one is global as well. We have another function definition inside that got listed.
Yeah, if we have another variable, we can have another variable. Like if we have another function that's, let's say test, and then that's another function. Yep. As long as it doesn't have the var keyword.
Okay. But if we just have like function test,
It's private.
okay.
Okay, so let's give this a try. I don't think I've ever tried this. So we should be able to see test. Yep, you see that's the function right there. So anything without the var keywords makes it global. It's kind of tricky, right? All right, you guys got 10 minutes. Either stay here and kind of process this out. The link's been sent out to your Slack channel. Feel free to kind of review it. And this is a little bit more understandable to read the way it was. And I'll be here asking questions. I might go down and come back, but enjoy your 10 minutes. We'll be back. We'll be back at 8:43.
How do we get the video?
Video. Reach out to Sarah if she hasn't sent them. I'll definitely send them out to you. She does have the first one that I did yesterday. I also gonna send this one.
Did you get it, sir?
She didn't send a slide or an email about
Okay.
Okay.
I think she might be prepared and put them together, but if she hasn't sent them, I'll make sure that I send it to you. Okay? Gonna go down and come back. Okay?
Excuse me, good question.
Sure. There's no stupid question. Okay?
No, I feel pretty stupid.
No.
If you like define state, if you define it, like you say this state is, and then you put then you all of a sudden do a set state on something that's not in here,
It will create it.
it will just create it in there.
That's the beauty of it.
Is that a bad thing
No,
to do?
no, that's actually good to
or-
do. Yep, that's good to do, actually.
Okay, I was kind of confused by that, because I think some of our stuff, we would have it here, and then set it somewhere else, and I'm like, wait, it's not in the main area here.
Except you might have
Kind of
some,
confusing.
if it's some data that you, if it's some data you get from an API,
Mhm.
and then you adding it there and using it inside React State, either you're doing a looping, or like map looping, something like that. It might return it as undefined, like some sort of, it might cause the application itself to fail. But if it's not any data you pulling from the API and you're setting it whenever you get this data, as long as it's not like that, you can do not define them when you call set state, that's when you define it. It's a little bit confusing, but the
Okay.
bottom line is you don't need to define any variable. You can define it inside your set state whenever you need
Okay. That just confuses me.
it. It's a little bit interesting,
Yeah.
but with Redux, it's best to define everything we need.
Yeah, because that's kind of, I ran into that problem where I didn't have, like, I had it defined too many times, I don't know, so it's just easier just to, it seemed to me easier to define it in one place and you know it's there.
Keep that in mind. Always, that's one of the reasons I highly recommend us, because Lucy Sharp, I'll send you a link, but Lucy Sharp has a diagram where you can kind of break the state of the application to something visible. This will help a lot.
Yes, definitely. To start out, that's my hardest thing is like, how do you start?
Yeah,
How do you
just think
start?
about
Because it's so different. How do you
think
start
about the
with
problem
this?
you're solving, and then drop every data you need in there. If you, and while you're coding it, if you adding a data that's not in there, add it in there.
Right.
Because you don't need to put everything else out. As long as the thing to get you started,
Right,
and while you develop the application, then you have to.
okay, cool, thanks.
No problem.
I know.
The more I sit in here, the more I realize I don't know.
Exactly.
No.
I'm there with you, I'm definitely there with you.
I mean, at least you have most of the basics down. What do you do, just read? All the background?
A lot of it is, I have a master's in computer science and 16 years worth
Oh,
of
you had your master's too.
No, 2000.
And now I
Oh, that's
understand
amazing.
why political science degree is like very important. Cause I really appreciate that now, cause like these concepts that he's like, a little bit that he's teaching us is probably what you all kind of got before you even touched any
It
kind of
changes
code.
so fast.
Yeah.
Rely on that. Changes, I mean, everything's changing so fast.
Which is a basic thing, like having a strong foundation.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, don't make a single function that's 300 lines long. There's also, I was surprised you didn't talk about it, there's another measure, like rule of thumb. There's something called the cyclomatic complexity number for functions. It has to do with handling
I
conditionals.
just remember that. I mean, I would hear that and it would just be shh, the other ear and not important information to hold on to.
My wife, when I have a bachelor's in electrical engineering, a master's in computer science.
You guys have a really good brain.
It's fly.
Instant recall. You said that instant recall brain.
But one night we were talking about the oscillations, the squeal, and you pick the microphone over next to the speaker, that the thing, the mathematics behind it are, it violates something that was done years and years and years ago called the Barkhausen stability criteria.
And now, how did you remember?
I know, right?
My wife just burst out laughing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So much information.
I know. So the little tidbits you remember, I just, it would just be like, unimportant to me and I didn't work out.
Yeah, One thing that was really fascinating to me when you were talking about the singleton design pattern is advanced. The singleton design pattern, at least in C++, and I believe in Java as well, is the most common one that's used everywhere.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see the things from C and C++ that
Right.
have bled into JavaScript.
Even Python, about prototyping.
You know, you can make you sit there and wait. I started saying all these words, you guys. Remember those? You know, y'all have that.
I guess because it sounded so strange, it stuck with me.
I didn't spend my pain, so I did the meter and I did it for like 8:45.
Didn't want it. Hmm? I didn't have time to come down and get it, so I said, "Did you want to do it?" What do you need?
Just the ID.
Yeah.
I went over there with the ID and then she gave me a brand new thing to stick on there.
Yeah, you need my thing in the car.
Yeah, the card that you get in
She
and
gave me a whole
No,
bunch.
they give you a whole new.
So what do you need? Just
You
a
need a
new
new
car?
No, the card that you which out, right?
Yeah.
But the other card, which is like that,
Yeah.
I'm charging $25.
Okay. And so was this?
Okay, well, it's like a deal, I don't think I'll.
Yes,
I'm
but
not hanging there.
no.
I can see many police stuff like that.
Is that what you did?
I get frustrated. The license plate readers can read my car tag, but not the truck tag.
Thank you.
So if I drive the truck, I have to roll the window down and do the buzz card. But if it's a car, I just drive up and stop for a few seconds and get it.
You're talking about the much better.
What do you?
The license plate reader,
Oh, yeah,
it can't read the truck's license.
mine always thinks I'm like. I appreciate that, it makes things a lot easier. So I was not, even though I didn't want to pay any additional money, I was like, I will pay just for like not feeling burdensome and getting to here and like figuring out where I'm parking. All the
Oh,
issues,
yeah, it's only
you know?
$25.
Yeah.
But if
You're
you're
gonna
gonna park
get here,
there,
get, oh, you did it today.
it's expensive, it's like $15 if you don't get it. So by the time you pay $15, you know.
Oh, when I went, I parked in the parking lot and told the parking people,
Yeah, it's $2.
since you closed at 5, I had to go ahead and pull into the garage. And guy backed a few keys on the computer, and I didn't know what to charge for parking.
Okay.
Well, I didn't get your early.
Girl, my friend did, so she said.
Oh, from Monday or Tuesday.
Now, the magic that
And I
was
said, oh, I was behind you in the street.
it was only about a time I had to go, wait until after 5 o'clock, leave, and come back.
Or she was waiting for her car to be activated.
Okay.
But I just parked,
Gotta do what you gotta
and I
do.
waited half an hour, and I went out, $2, turned around, and came back in, and the car was
I
activated.
hope JD is going to take us
So did you
beyond
find anybody,
the course.
anybody want to do any
the way
projects?
that
Yeah, I have one.
you didn't stir it.
Yeah, so we got a good amount of, I know, we did. And then definitely, Sharon, and then I emailed me.
So Sterling,
Other
do you
people.
know, and have you,
So,
in your work, had
yeah, I mean, I'm
issues
gonna
with
start out with
like
everybody,
what
see
you-
windows off and go like that, you know? So, I just wanna give everybody an opportunity, if they want to continue, then they can, if they don't, that's fine too. Yeah, me too. I know.
I know, we need you, Sterling, we need you. How did you get so knowledgeable? Did you just read?
I practice over and over and over and over and over and over. And I read, there's one thing I'll share with you for you guys to stay up to date, which is very helpful. But I read a lot too. And I do a lot of practices on my own. I'll let me send it now because I might
How long have you been, you graduated just last year?
just last year.
From a
Just
trilogy.
from Trilogy Bootcamp last year.
That's something.
Last year. And sometimes I walk into class where students have issues, instructors can't figure it out, and I came in and saved the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I could be a hacker too.
Right.
So yeah, it's a little bit interesting, right? I do a lot, and I love JavaScript.
All right, so all these jazz, I know it's been a lot. It's been like bing and bing, 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 and stuff. Things stuff makes sense, and all these jazz. Okay, and there's more to it. Except unfortunately, I have only 1 week with you, and today is my last day. But JD is going to be the next person with you. I'm sure you've worked with JD before, and believe it or not, in case you guys might be wondering, JD and I, we met online,
Oh, really?
and JD's my best buddy for over 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. So
Did you bring him to Trilogy?
exactly.
Wow.
I'll bring him as a tutor, and he works there as a tutor, become the assistant manager, and then from the assistant manager, then he just like JD loves coding, and he can code all day, and he's willing to teach anybody with any questions as long as you're willing to hear from him. And when JD started, he was actually the person that got me into development. JD was the one that I came to a point I was that close to quit. He was showing me some interesting stuff about CSS, and this is how this whole thing started. And now we're kind of like the guy behind the tutor team when some students have some major issues where geology is kind of like on fire about things that's not working, and we're kind of like the main guy they're gonna send to you for different things, just like this, the extended sessions where they want you to ask any questions and stuff like that. So anyhow, let's talk a little bit about Express in general. And
So
yep, go.
before you go forward, you didn't go over Mixin.
Oh, Mixin.
Yeah.
Mixin. Okay, Mixin. Were you there last class?
No.
Last Tuesday class?
Yeah. I
Okay,
went.
yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about when we were talking about higher order component, right? He mentioned another way of doing it with a different class, and then you extend it, right? And you can either extend it. Well, Mixin is just that. It's the ability to extend the object. They call it in the term Mixin. Let's see.
How do you spell that?
Mixins. Let's see. Mix. Yep.
No G.
Yeah, let's see. Let's double check. Let's make sure.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So this is what Mixin is all about, just terms and different terminologies and stuff like that. Did you want to?
Have the other page up?
Oh no! Oh, I was like,
Oh, yeah, sure. This one, just tap it. In JavaScript, you only inherit from a single object. There can be only blah 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 for an object, and a class may extend only on one other class. Blah 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 blah. You want to make simple. You see, that's kind of like that's a way to extend an object as well by using object data sign and stuff like that. You guys can feel. You see the extend keyword and all this jazz. But yeah, this is all about Mixin. Feel free to kind of read more about it. But there's a whole scenario. There's a whole scenarios of terms and different terminologies that that can help you out. And the other thing, here's the interesting part. A lot of interviews I go to, and some of the interviews that I go to, sometimes I just understand the terms, and I can't code it out yet, and I got people scared. They're like, okay, thanks. But the bottom line is, when you understand the terms, you can close your eyes and just be like, because you know the expecting and everything and stuff like that. All right, so let's talk about Express. I'm gonna take Express
to a different level than what you guys learn in class. Okay, I'm gonna extend it a little bit. I'm gonna do some mixing. So, in a general purposes, what do you guys think that Express can do? That can work, right? That's fine. You can name a few out there. That's fine. Routing, a perfect example. What else? That's okay. That's fine. All right. So if we look and we see backend and routing, right? That's all good. But Express has a lot of features. Express not only has a lot of features, and one thing also you should consider whenever you're looking at any new library out there, whichever, it doesn't matter what it is, it's very important. Every library makes it available for you to extend their platform. Okay? React, there are React packages out there that uses React ecosystem to extend. Like every single library out there has ability to extend their platform, like add more functionalities. All right. So when we're thinking about Express, Express mainly handles the routing of an application. Like it controls what comes out from the server and what goes out to it, what comes out in the server and what goes out to the server. It controls the whole process. Okay. Let me actually pull up this right now. This is the time I'm gonna be using it. Okay, here. Now I'm gonna be using the Express thing. All right, so, and I'm gonna be using Postman because I don't want to be creating a front end app as well. Just to kind of dynamically show you. Actually, yeah, I'll be using. You know what? I'm gonna be building a full stack app real quick. Okay, what is this? Okay, so here, got 30 minutes. All right, hold on. I'm gonna build a very simple app with a full stack app. I'm gonna just create an index.html, and then here an HTML template. And then here, I'm just gonna load up jQuery that like there. I got jQuery over here, and that should be everything I need. I just probably need a script that's gonna be doing some Ajax call, and then that's gonna return promises that then, and then in here. Okay. Okay, and we can set up the type of options over here, and I'll explain what I'm doing in a second, just to kind of give you guys an idea what's going on. And just pass these options. All right, here, and then on my server, we're gonna handle everything over here. Okay. All right. So what I mean about Express controls what goes out from the server, and what comes in to the server. I mean, it controls everything. Okay. It controls who get access to the data. It also controls who does not get access to the data. But one thing every single person is using is something called client. Client that you're using, it could be a computer. It could be an Apple Watch, right? It could be a mobile devices. And by the way, you can use Express too on mobile development. The only thing that the mobile needs to do connects to your Express application. And you can use Express for mobile development, for TV development, for everything you can possibly think of. It controls everything on your server side, okay? Now, when it's about the client, which means the device that you're using to connect to Express. It could be your computer once again, your laptop, your TV, and all these things. Well, whichever devices that is connecting, they are sending some additional information they're sending the type of computer that they're on, either on Windows or on a Mac. They're also sending the URL that they're pulling the request to. So there's a bunch of information that'll happen behind the scene. And once again, all of these things that I just said, it might be like, okay, Sterling, all right, just show this in real code. Well, let's show it in real code. I'm gonna be building a simple GET request, which I'm gonna say when the user go to API, I'm just gonna send them a response back, like something like username, something like, actually I'm just gonna do status success, right? And now I don't even need to use my Ajax call. If I run this server, let's see, oops. Where am I? I'm inside the full app. Is that the full app? No, that's inside the my app. And I'm gonna do node server. What's going on here? Something's not right. Oh yeah, this one I need to comment this one out. I'm gonna use nodemon. You guys know what nodemon is, right? Okay. So now when I go to 8080 API, oops, what happened? You have something else running. Oh, that's port. What port is? Oh, okay, got it. Let's put 3000 instead. Something running on port 8080. Okay, right, I got success, which if we're looking at our code, this is, let's drag this one down here. Yep, closer, okay. So if we're looking at our code, this is pretty straightforward, right? What's happening is the browser, it's making a request to our server and Express handling this request, right? Let's take a quick look at this. Hold on, let's do one last thing. And I need this one to be here. Right, I make another request, simple, right? But in our console, see what's happened? Information about this person that makes the request. If we see, I'm on a Macintosh, right? And you see, I'm using some sort of language, English language. You see, accept language use. And I have some sort of cookies. And I have user agent and all these jazz, right? And the connection keeps live and host where the connection is coming. And also, I can set some information as well. Okay? Now, okay, Sterling, this is a little bit interesting. I mean, I can probably use them, just do some object. I can work with it, just do request that header, that host, and get the URL, probably do something fancy with it. Well, in reality, it's not that easy. Here's why I said that. Now, a lot of places, such as Google, such as PayPal, such as Bank of America, any type of sensitive data you think that places are using, or how they're keeping track of, because if something happened, they need to know who did it, when they did it, on what devices they did it, when they don't do it. Well, they're using headers heavily. They use headers a lot. And this is how they set some additional information about you. They set some additional information about you, and when you come back, they know exactly who you are. Now, for example, let's do one quick example. I'm gonna set some sort of. I'm gonna make a request over. Where is it? This. No. What's this? Yeah, I'm here. I'm gonna go here. All right. Let's just take a look at one of the payment system. For example, something Stripe, something very basic. I think I had an example about Stripe. Let's see. All right, let me just show you guys an example about Postman that I did about. Okay. Hold on. What's the best way to kind of describe this out? It's kind of weird the way this look. Okay. All right, that's fine. Let's just do the example we're doing. All right. So let's do an example with our very basic index HTML. And in order to do this, I need to serve my index HTMLs. In our case, we haven't served it yet. So let's go ahead and take care of that. I'm going to do app.get, and that's the home page. I'm going to send a file. I'm going to use this package you guys said use before called path. And it's called path. And I'm going to set request and rest. And then I'm gonna send this index.html file on the home page, which is their name. That's the current folder. And then this index.html file is located inside the public. I'm gonna go over public/index.html. Now, when I refresh the page, I should be able to go to the home page, which is this one. And oops, something is not right. Path up. I forgot something. Sorry. Rest.send.join. There you go. Oh, because there's nothing inside the HTML, so let's add something. There you go. You got something like hello world, right? All right. So whenever you're working with the Express as a routing middleware, and a lot of companies gonna pay you the big money, and you need to know why. It's not just about routing. There are other information you need as a developer, such as cookies. Cookies are critical, and I'm gonna tell you why. You need information also such as headers. And headers, it's a way most places communicate. And headers, one services right now in the industry that's using in heaven, it's something called OAuth2. You guys know what this is. You can write it down, and this is something you should consider using. What is OAuth2? Why is the whole reason I show you this nasty, crazy looking header? Well, OAuth2, believe it or not, is the industry standard of acting on a user's behalf. Good. Let me say that one more time. OAuth2 is the industry standard of acting on a user's behalf. How many of you guys have you done the Google login yet? Some of you done the
Yes.
Google login? Okay, you done that?
Yeah,
Well,
we use
believe it.
Auth0.
Use Auth0?
Yeah,
Guess what?
to do the login.
Guess what? Auth0 behind the scene is using OAuth2. Some places also that using Passport. Well, Passport behind the scene it's using OAuth2. And what is OAuth2? OAuth2 is the ability for you as a developer to have a user logged into your application and act on your behalf. There's one tool I use called Calendly. Calendly, it's a calendar system, right? Well, what they do, really wish I was able to kind of show you an example. Right. But what they do is they connect over OAuth2 with my calendar, my Google Calendar.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody when somebody select their time into Calendly, well, they instantly add it to my calendar. And the whole way they did this flow, it's over OAuth2. Now the question is, okay, Sterling, I understand, which means you can act on the user's behalf. And here's the interesting thing. If the user logged in with their Facebook account, you get certain access, you can act on that user's Facebook page, which means you can post, you can like pictures and do all crazy stuff. And OAuth 2, it's the industry standard. All right, Sterling, how do I get started? Well, OAuth 2 communicate with most of the servers over headers. See this big object that I just showed you? Well, OAuth 2 communicate with a lot of users over header. That means every information you go to send, you might need some headers to define in order for you to send. And here's the beauty about OAuth 2. Once you know it for every single places that's using OAuth 2. All right, so too much talking. Show me an example how it works.
All right, let's do that. First of all, here's how it works. There's a lot of parameters that you're gonna need to pass, or headers, whatever you call it, and headers and parameters. All right, so there is one called client ID. There's another one called secret ID. There's another one called scope. There's one of them called, what else? We'll see. All right, let's just grab one. Google OAuth 2. Server-side web application. And then I'm gonna head over client library, and then there you go, HTTP. All right. All right, so all right,
We're gonna do this function, this more about OAuth 2 because I think it's more critical to your development environment, because this is where you do a lot of integrations with software. Like your application integrates with other software, and you can, like there is company I know, their entire business is based on integrations. Like they integrate with other software, okay? Now, OAuth 2, how does it work? Well, here's how it works. Whenever you're using it, you're gonna communicate over somebody's server with your server. The chances are you're going to communicate over something called HTTP, right? Well, you need to, the HTTP, of course, you know it already, get, post, put, delete. But headers, it's also critical because this is where some places send some not fully sensitive information, but some crazy, a little bit close to sensitive information. Because the user, it's not the fact that the user don't say it, but as long as it's coming from your server, it's a little bit more secure for these places to trust you, okay? Which we're gonna do an example right now. Here's how it works. Every single time you're thinking about using OAuth 2, you need two things to get started. And those two things are two URL, two endpoint.
The first one, it's something called authorize, and the second one is a token. And this is when you're gonna need the header. In order to get started with OAuth 2, you need two things. You need two endpoints, which is just two URL. The first one should be where you authorize your application. The second one is something called token, which once you get the token back, you're gonna send this token over your header, that's one of the reasons I bring header. Without any further ado, let's actually see how do we get this to endpoints, okay? Whichever services you're using, we're using this time Google, which we're gonna try to log into a user account without using OAuth 0, which you're gonna see how they did it, and without using Passport. So we're gonna do it like our way, okay? Are you guys excited about that?
Yeah.
All right, a little bit. All right. We need the two endpoints. Let's see if we can find them. Keep going. You see authorization. They're talking about authorizing. And keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Let's see. There you go. That's it. So I'm going to copy this. Then put them down probably like here. And then the second one, it's a token URL. And then this one could be authorized URL. All right, let's see if we can get the token URL. Keep going. Keep going all the way down. Keep going. Keep going. You're looking for a token URL. There you go. You see that? And I grab them. And that's the first step. The URL should have at the end of it something called authorized. It doesn't matter if it's Google you're using or if it's Meetup you're using. Any services, by the time you hear they're using OAuth2, you need to endpoint. Okay? Now once you get these two endpoint, this is aka how you're gonna make some sort of API request to them and communicate. Okay? Now I'm gonna finish. We'll finish the first step, which I got the two URL. I'm gonna work with the first URL. Said I'm gonna put this one all the way down, and then the first authorizing my app. All right. So in order to authorize your app, the first URL, which is authorized, you need a few params. And here's the beauty about OAuth2. Every param, let me see if I can minimize this. Okay. Every param that you're going to use for any OAuth2 platform, it doesn't matter which one you're using, once again, the params remain the same. It's client ID, it's redirect URL, and it's scope. And these are the three main ones. I'll copy the three main one over here. So client ID, and then trust me, guys, hold on tight. Scope, and then probably access type. Yep. You can feel free to read more about this scope. There's more param that it's a whole industry standard which we're not gonna use, but these are the 4 ones that we need. These are the 4 ones that we need. Now, how do we get those values? What is a client ID? What is a redirect URL? What is a scope? What is the access type? What is it? Now, here's what I really want you to understand from this. This is hard. I'm not expecting you to understand it today, but I want you to see how this works, okay? And it's not as complicated as you think it is. Once you understand this, any apps out there, it doesn't matter which one, because you don't want to be limited to OAuth0. Think about if they didn't do GitHub, you would log out. OAuth0 doesn't happen. Or GitHub, ooh. If they didn't have Facebook, oh my gosh, ooh. I'm waiting for OAuth0 to integrate Facebook, and you can do it yourself. All right, how do we get the client ID? How do we get redirect URL? Well, in order to get it, every single services that using the OAuth2, you need to create an app with them. You need to create an app with them. Once you create the app, they're going to give you a client ID. And they're going to give you a redirect URL. We're going to hold on to the scope, because this is the most important one. But you're going to, the redirect URL, we're going to talk about access type. But the bottom line is, in order to get this information, you need to create an app. Well, in our case, we're using Google, right? Which means we need to create an app with Google. Let's create an app. Go over Google Console. That's more how you could get it. And then Google Console, I think it's, which one is it? We could get the first one, I guess. Okay, let's minimize this. I don't think this is it. Google Console. Huh?
The docs that you were showing said API console.
Yeah, let's see. Hold on. Because that's Google Cloud Console. But the one I want, it's not the cloud. Hold on.
It was given a link.
There you go. This is, oh no, was it this one? Oh, there was even a link for it too?
Yeah,
Probably this one. There you go. I think this is it.
it said API console.
Oh, let's go back to the first one. And then, where's this link again?
No, in the auth zero, where the parameter list.
Oh, okay.
If you go to client ID,
Client,
you were right there.
client ID. There you go. There you go. That's what I needed. Every information is on the docs. So I should have done that. There you go. Then here, that's what I needed. Okay. You see, it's gonna redirect you. Here's the credential. And then here's the OAuth consent screen. Clicked on it. And then I'm gonna be creating an app, which I can call this one, oops, testing purposes. And then the it's optional, an icon if you want to. And then that's your email. All these guys are optional, and then you can hit save. Oops. What? Hold on. Let's go to credential, create credential, OAuth client ID. There you go. OAuth client ID. There you go. And I want to do web application. And by the way, this is recording and testing purposes. And then this is empty. Now here's the interesting thing. The authorized redirect URL, which is equal in our code, it's equal to this. Now what is this? Well, this is a way that when the service is gonna finish authorizing your application, like Google gonna finish and whatever they're doing, they're gonna send the user back to your application. For testing purposes, we can just put, make sure you do not just put localhost, it won't work. Put http/localhost. And then whichever port that your localhost is, whatever it is, API, whatever. Okay? So any place is gonna need a URL to send the app, to send the user back. And then creating, I think I clicked the creating, oh, there you go. Now I click it, and here's, you see that? Here's my client ID, and here's my client secret. I got these two information I needed. And now I can go ahead and copy it. And we almost done, guys, with this first step, okay? And client secret, client secret. Client secret, that's for this, for the other URL for this one, which gonna send us this, but it's fine. Then, do you guys remember what URL I added? I can check it real quick. Testing purposes, and my redirect URL it's this, so I can technically copy this and then put it over here. Scope. All right. What is scope? Scope is the type of permission you need. What do you need access to? What do you want to do on the user's behalf? You want to get access to their calendar? You want to get access to their Gmail account? And by the way, you can. You can get access to their Gmail account. You want to get access to their Gmail contact? You want to get access to everything that you need access to. Scope, it's a way to tell it how we get access to. If you don't know the scope about certain things, you can just Google it. Google scope access OAuth 2, some sort of things like that. There you go, scope for Google API. And here's every single scope that Google give you. Check this one out. All this scope. Now the scope I need is just the calendar one, because let's say you're building your application, you want to get the user's calendar. That's the calendar one. They have two scope, which means the first one, you can manage the entire user's calendar, which means you can delete that, you can delete it, add it, modify, do everything you need. Think about you have a girlfriend, or have a boyfriend, and you just integrate your app into like the without her knowing or him knowing, just integrating your app into it, and then all of a sudden, man, she's seeing events into her calendar, or you controlling events. You know where she's going, she doesn't know. This is the beauty of OAuth2. You can manage somebody's entire calendar. You can read events about somebody's entire calendar.
So, I'm sorry, but this is rather shocking to me. So I can create an application,
Correct?
deploy it to the Heroku.
Mm-hmm.
It does nothing but produce anagrams of the letters in someone's name. I use Google authentication to give them like, yeah.
Correct.
Log
Now-
in using Google.
The user needs to be the one that click yes and accept for you to get access to it. Like they need to click yes. Which we're gonna see an example, live example today.
Okay, so it doesn't happen behind the scenes.
No, it doesn't. What I was saying is, let's say if you had a boyfriend, girlfriend, you can give your application access if you know her, or she's logged into her Gmail account, whatever, and you just inject your application while she logs in. Because Google, if you're already logged in, I don't think it's gonna require you to enter your password. You can just click yes, and then, if you got access to your girl's computer. But it's very secure because Google require the user to click yes. If you do not click yes, the application can't get access to your calendar. But the bottom line is, knowing OAuth0 makes you an unlimited developer. You can start making money with not even working for somebody else because you can do integrations. You can integrate into anything you want. Think about something like Eventbrite. Eventbrite has an OAuth2 as well, which means you can build an app. If the user create an event into your application, you can automatically post it to Eventbrite. How cool is this? The same with Meetup. The same with Facebook. And it's the industry standard right now, except Twitter that's using OAuth1, which they recently had a big password scripting issue. So some of the user password was being saved in the database in plain text. If you have a Twitter account, you might consider changing the password shortly. All right, too much talking. We just need one scope, which means what type of access we need. Let's take manage data. This is just a link. All right, and just paste it in there. And access type, they will tell you which access type that you need. If we go back to the data, where is it? This one. Access type. You see access type. You can kind of see recommending one is the offline, which you get access to it for a long time. But this is everything we need. Everything we need. We don't need anything else. We're done with the first step. We look for the two endpoints. We find them. That's good. We created an app. They give us an ID, the secret. That's good. And we put our redirect URL. And that's it. And here's how you build it for your application. Here's how you do it. You see this URL? You're going to put question mark because the other thing is going to be a parameter. All right? The first parameter, it doesn't matter which one. The first one, it's equal to client ID. You see that? And then I added the client ID here. Equal to the value. And that's the value.
we're gonna add another parameter. To add another parameter, you just do the inside, right? And then the other parameter you're gonna be adding, it's the redirect URL. See that? So we're gonna add this guy here, and you make it equal to the value. And that's the value of the URL. We're gonna add another one, the inside, which is scope. And then we gonna copy the scope over here and then add this scope. Then we're gonna add another one, the inside again, access type. It's equal to access offline, and I think it's equal to offline. And that's it. That's the whole URL that you need, and you can kind of copy everything and paste it into the browser, and that should do the job.
You guys want me to click the enter button? See what happens, right? Okay. Before I do this, I'm missing one thing.
Let me fix that right now. All right, so what I need to do is I need to go over my Google console, which is this one, and I need to go to dashboard, and I need to search. You see where it says enable APIs and services, and I'm gonna use calendar. That's the calendar, and I just need to enable it. Yep, it's already enabled, so I'm good to go. Let's click that button. Hopefully no errors. Oops, something's good. Oh, response type. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm missing one last thing. Let's see, response type. Response type. What is that? Oops. Response type. All right, so they did an example here. You see response type is equal to code. So you could kind of see the example they do too. They did, that's not written in their documentation. Anyhow, let's add this. Response type, another one. Response type is equal to code. So we can technically copy this and add another parameter, response type. And now we can copy this entire URL, and let's click this button again. And there we go.
And there we go. We have, of course, you can sign in.
Now check this one out. Once I go to here, sign in. Oops, it should not. I should go to another one. Hold on. Let's try this one. There you go. You see what he said?
This will allow tab members to manage your calendars. Yes or no? And if it does yes, he said no. If it does yes, believe it or not, you get access to this entire user calendar, and you're the king. You're the queen. You can do anything you want. And that's how the whole industry standards work. If you're looking at an application, you see they have 4 of 2, just say, yeah. If they don't have it, you're like, oh, jeez. But if they have it, you know how to build that URL. All right, this is about them authorizing your application, right? You say you build it. The only thing you need to do is build that URL. Build the URL and send the user. Like, your job is just to send the user this URL. Which in our case, here's what we can do in our API.
So we're gonna go here, copy this URL again. When the user come on this route, you see that instead of sending them a JSON, we're just gonna send the user to this URL. Now in my app, if I go back to API, you see, I instantly send the user to this URL. Let's do it again. If I go to localhost/API, it instantly sends the user to the URL.
See that? How easy is that? You just build the thing and send it out. Now, the next step.
All right, here's the next step. Once you click allows, there's going to be something that happens, which the first thing, you give this app access to your calendar. The second thing, whichever services is going to send you back a code. Say that one more time. Whichever services you're using, they're going to send you back a code. And you're going to need that code for the next step, for the second URL. And once you get this code, you make one last request and you set. Once you get this code, you build the second URL and you all set. You set to go. It sounds easy, right? But at the same time, it's complicated. And the last step, what they give you at the end is something called token, which means a unique identifier for that user. And that's what allows you to have access to that user's calendar to whatever you want, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you. When I click this, you see that? Send me a code. Oops, crap. You send me a code, right? But if you guys notice, when I was filling the application, my application to the Google thing, oops, go back here and then go back to, oops, go back in here again, go back again, credential, testing, where is it? Testing, you see that URL? Well, this is the URL that they sent me back. They sent me back to this URL. And now on my server side, I can use this second URL to make up the second request, which they give me the token and I'm all set. Let me see the time. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I think the time is over. All right, let's see if we can do this just for the sake of you watching, but you good about the first step. Everybody's clear. All right, let me see if I can get the second step done for you, okay? All right, so
This is still being recorded.
Yep. Yep. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say this one is to authorize the user, and I'm gonna say it on get code. Get code. Okay. All right, so get to do in this one get code. And all right, so what I'm gonna do is instead of having them send the user back to API.route, I'm gonna have them send them back to get code. Save it and update my URL to, where is it? Redirect instead of API, get code. All right. So what I want to do is I want them to send them back to this URL. And once they send them back to this URL, I'm gonna get the code. The way I'm gonna do that, it's params.code, I guess, because I think it's actually queryparam.code. That's gonna be something like this. And then once I get the code, all right, let's see how we build a second URL. Let's go back to the doc, token. All right, here's the token link. And the same parameter, you see that? Code, I got the code already, client ID, which I already have. So I can go ahead and copy this entire stuff. Okay. The only thing that's added is the secret, which I got the secret down there. And I think this is it. Oh, let's make sure this is all good. Okay. Code, client ID, client secret reader. Yep. And grant type, and then that's the only one that I'm missing. Go ahead and type. Okay, I don't need this one. Response type. I don't need this one, and that's it. That's technically everything. All right, and I don't need access type. Okay, that's it. I can technically remove them. Okay. All right, now I just build the same thing. Client ID. Go here, add a parameter. Client ID. And then add a redirect URL. This one was get code. And then I'm gonna add, I don't think I need the scope as well. Client secret. Another param. And another param. And go and type code. Okay, I got the entire URL. And I can copy this now. And I'm gonna work with this down here. Now I'm gonna use Axios to make an API request. It doesn't matter if it's request, whatever it is. And I'm gonna use that over here. I'm gonna say Axios URL, it's equal to this long n URL, and method is equal to post method, and then that should be it. And now I'm gonna just console log the response and catch. Okay, and then display the data, the returning data down here, and then response, and that's gonna be error. Let's console log the error in case there's an error. All right, and that's everything we need to do. Of course, we can send just we can send the user back to the home page. Just redirect the user back to the home page if everything went well. All right, here's the expected value. We're gonna get the code because the code's gonna come as this code, and then blue. Okay, that's how the code's gonna come. And remember how it came? You see that? So API instead, this gonna be get code, and then we're gonna get the code value like this. This is how we're getting the code value, and then I think I'm missing the code parameter. Yep, I think so. And add code is equal to plus code. Let's see, did I? I'm gonna double check. Yeah, let's double check the documentation. Yep, I was missing the code. Okay, so I just added that to the end, and I added the code. All right, so that should be it. We should be seeing the token. Okay. And let's just delete this guy. All right, let's see. Here's our application. Now we can go back again to localhost/API. And this /API, it's sending the user to Google. Google's gonna return them to us over here. And we're gonna get the code, make a request to get our token, and we should be all set once you get the token. All right, finger crossed. Oops. Something happened. Because we didn't install Axios. Axios. All right, we install Axios. All right, and let's try to run it again. Good, everything seems good. All right, API, go to Google. You see that? I'm gonna request access to it, and then apply. All right. It's sending back. Let's see if we get the data to the console. Oops. Hold on. Something happened. Code. Did I get the code? Nope. There was. Did Google send them to this route? Hold on. let's see when I go to get code. Hold on, I'm missing one last thing. All right, let's see when I go to get code, I should be able to see something log. It's not login. Am I missing something? It's app.getCode. Oh, let me just delete this. Let me comment these guys out. That might bring some confusion. Oh, that might be, how do you get the param? Is it like this? I guess. Let's see. Get code param. Oh, God, I forgot how you get code. Get code. That's what it's. Oh, it's sending them to port 8080, and my application is on port 3000. God. Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. I was like, what? Okay. So it's port 3000. Thank you. And update it. And now let's see if this is actually port 3000. Yep, and we should be able to see, you see it? All this, of course, that's an error. That's an invalid. All right, so that's expected. All right, I think it was query to get the code. All right, let's try that. /API. Go to, oops. Redirect. Yeah, I need to change this one. Okay, instead of 8080, 3000, and I also need to change it here, 3000. Okay, got it. You see the step? You guys already good, right? All right, so that's good. Go here, and it sent it to the home page, which means success. Now, if I look at this, check this out. Woo! How about that? And now with this token, you can save it to your database, which means you get access about my personal email.
Doesn't it expire, or it just expires?
It gives you everything. It expires within this thing, and it gives you how to refresh your token every single time it expires. But the bottom line is the only thing you need is this. And then you might have some further logic for when it expires. But this, like this code, if I use it right now, I can post to my Google Calendar. And believe it or not, let's actually give you guys a quick demo. I think I had a demo. Hold on. Let's do that. That's the last step before you guys will. And you guys should be able to see it posted into my calendar. Let's see if this works. I think.
The refresh token?
Huh?
What is the refresh token?
The refresh token is what you're gonna need whenever the token expires to refresh it. There's more info inside the documentation. All right, let's do the last step, which is gonna be more interesting, and then we can all go home. All right, I'm gonna go to the settings and reduce this view, system preferences, and then change the display to built-in retina, which you guys might not be able to see, but I want to see the Postman. Postman, and I had a Google off, and I had a Google Calendar token. Okay, the only thing I need to change over here, calendar list, calendar token. What is this? This is doing a post. This is doing the body. Nope. Where is it? Where is it? Give me 1 second, guys. Refresh token. I had one where I was posting to my calendar. Godly. I'm hoping I can find it. If API, nope. God. Oh, God. I don't think I'm able to find it. That's fine. I wish. Oh, what's that? No. So bad, guys. Sorry. Oh, there you go. There you go. That's it. All right. That's it. Let's do that. Let's say it as an example. Okay, so the only thing I need to do, I'm gonna need to send the token. Where is it? As an authorization header. Okay. So that means the header.
I just need to replace this token, which I'm going to do right now. This is my token. Where is it? This is my token. And just replace it with this. I just did. Now the only thing I need to do is, this is the email that I want to post it to, and I just need to adjust the time. What's today's date? 17. That means the 17. And then year 2018, and then 17. All right. So I want the event to start at 10 p.m., which is not 10 p.m., and I want it to finish at 11 p.m., right? And I want to call this event some sort of testing. And then some description. Let's see if it works. Before we test it, we need to pull up Google. Let's go to my personal Google Calendar just to see. All right, finger crossed. All right, go to calendar. And here's my Google Calendar. So now the expected behavior is today's, which is the 17th. Where is it? 17. I only see 2 events, right? When I run it, I should be able to see a third one.
Is that date time? Is it date, day, is it
Um,
year, month, day? Or
Yeah,
day,
it's
month?
it's month. There's a format. When you read more about the documentation, you'll be able to see how they want you to be the format. But yeah, there's a specific format they want you to send this.
Because it says 17 and 28. If it was year, month, there's no 17.
I think it's year first, and then yeah, there's no 17.
Yeah, if you
All right.
look at European date, it's different, right?
Yeah. Okay. You see, just send me. Okay. What's how many months? Is it 6? May
5.
5?
Yeah, and then put 17 after that.
And then put 17.
That
Yeah.
That should give you your right date.
Got it. Yep. There you go. Let's try that. Oops, hold on. Said. Oh, sorry. The emails that it's logged to was my tab nabbers, I guess. Hold on.
Oh,
I think it was my tab nabbers.
yeah.
Okay. Let's log my emails real quick. We're close, guys. We're close. API. We already have everything. All right. Let's go here. My emails. And then it's gonna generate a token. I'm gonna copy this token. Postman. Replace this token with the header. Okay, we replace it. And now go back to the body. Okay. Go back to the calendar. Am I doing everything right? Let's double check. Emails attended. That's people that might be intended to it. No, I can just change this one to tab nabbers, something like that. Crap, domain not found. Oh yeah, this is not it. Okay. I was using a different link thing. Okay, that's crap. What's domain? So this one, it's what's the issue? Hold on. Domain. I need to do quick Google Calendar domain. You know what? Let's just use the one that's using the current domain. All right, one last time, and we're gonna be all good. Okay, we're gonna be all good. All right, and that's 17. Let's just use Lifeline, the one I have, the one that's working. Let's do that one more time. Localhost/API, and then Lifeline. This is it. And then log this. Oops, not this one. I had 2 Lifeline. Sterling. There you go. This one. This is it. This is it. All right. Let's get the token, which is the last token. That's the last token. And let's change it over this one here. All right. And then let's see, post it. There we go. It's been posted into my Lifeline. Now I need to log into Lifeline. And I should be able to see that event. And let's see if we saw it. Oops, event. Calendar. 17, right? Boom! How about that? Boom! Ladies and gentlemen, this is O of 2. And this is the end of today's class.
So you can set a date with your flag,
Exactly.
your calendar.
Yep. So if you think about it, you are, once you know it, you become unlimited as a developer because you can do any type of any question.
So, quick question, you were saying that there is a resource that you use to stay up to date, and then you move on.
Yeah, there is a format that they want you to use.
Okay.
Once you read the documentation, you'll see.
That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry.
There was like a, something that keeps you relevant, like resource that you use.
Oh, some
Yeah.
resources. Now resources out there are complicated. It took me a long time before I understand it. I'll slack some resources out there as well, but I'll send a video to you. Okay. All right. No problem. No problem.